I'm Jason Knutson. I'm one of the lawyers at the Madison office of Havish, Havish, and Rotier.
And I'm Guy Dubois. I'm an attorney with Axley Brennelson here in Madison.
We're here talking about an article that you'll see in the Wisconsin Lawyer magazine talking about the relationship of physicians and lawyers and how to make that relationship stronger and work even better. Dealing with treating doctors can be a challenge, in part because they are just so busy. These are people who are seeing patients all day or in surgery all day, and really one of the last things they want to do is deal with an attorney on a personal injury case. There are a number of reasons for that. I think primarily it has to do with them just being afraid of what's going to happen. We assume that doctors are familiar with the legal system because our professions interact so often. But I think that for the most part, doctors keep themselves ignorant to some degree of the legal system because they just don't want to deal with it at all. And when they do, unfortunately, they can have some bad interactions that can color the rest of the interactions they have with lawyers.
Sure, that's right. And a lot of times, their brushes with the legal system may involve, could be a messy divorce, it could be a breakup of a partnership that they have, they may deal with their tax attorneys, they may find themselves the subject of a medical malpractice action. None of those are particularly pleasant interactions. So when they are called upon to try to help in a particular case, it's not always necessarily something that they're going to embrace doing right out of the get-go.
Right, and for that reason, I think the most important part in building relationships with doctors is to take the time to address what their concerns likely are. Generally, they aren't going to tell you what they are, at least that's my experience. And so you have to anticipate what they are. Oftentimes, it's just not knowing how they fit in. So from a plaintiff's personal injury attorney, typically a treating physician is going to be an expert witness for you. They don't know what that means, and they don't know what their responsibilities are, and really they don't know where to start in terms of what to review or how to get ready. And so the easiest way to get them pointed in the right direction is really to just make a phone call and to tell them, here's where we are in this process, here's your role, here's what we need to talk about, and then help them to get ready for what they need to do. Right. When is it okay to just call a nurse's desk or call the physician directly and start talking to them about issues?
Well, I guess it depends who you are. If you're representing the patient, you have some latitude and leeway to do that the defense counsel simply does not. Obviously, under federal HIPAA laws, under Wisconsin sections 14682, doctors know that they have to keep medical information, protected health information, private, and they're going to erect those barriers. They won't just speak freely with you. You may need to get an authorization to talk to them. Obviously, from a plaintiff's perspective, usually the patient will give you that authorization. From a defense perspective, you don't have that. Oftentimes, when I'm defending a case, and it's not a medical malpractice case where I've had a chance to visit with the physician, my one shot is that deposition, and that's how I get to talk to these folks. Another thing that I think it bears mentioning and keeping in mind, especially for attorneys, is that certainly in the prosecution of PI-type cases, we need them. They really do not need us. So we're coming to them asking for their time, asking for their expertise, and something that they could just as soon do without. Several things that I think are particularly important in being able to deal with physicians, and the first thing is you have to have some sort of basic understanding of the medicine that's involved. These people do not want to come in and start at square one with you. You have to be able to know what issues they've dealt with. You have to have an idea of how that fits into the overall practice of medicine. And then you have to be able to be prepared to have an intelligent conversation with them. If you start at that point, then it's much easier for them to interact. They can easily become teachers, they can become colleagues, they can become somebody that will actually work with you. But if they feel that they're having to start at square one, that's just an added burden for them.
That's a great point. And I think on the opposite end of the spectrum, don't overcorrect and think that you know more medicine than the physicians do, because you just don't. And that's one of the quickest ways to turn them off from helping you is to come in and basically tell them you figured the medicine out and here's what you think is going on. They know they don't know as much about the law as we do. We need to remember we don't know nearly as much about the medicine as they do, even though maybe we've had more time to sit on this particular case and study it.
Yes, that's right. And I think that's a point that's especially sentient for folks on the defense side of a case. If you think about it, when a PI case comes into Jason's office, one of the first things he's going to do is going to review medical records. In order to do that appropriately, he has to understand what's there, and he's found something in those medical records that he believes supports the claim. Now, when that case makes its way to a defense counsel's office, their job, in part, is to question that. So when defense counsel's first interaction with the doctor is to come in to actually question their medical conclusions, again, that's not starting at a place that is necessarily easy or comfortable for a physician.
Getting back to learning the medicine, how do you start to dive in? I know you've had enough experience now where there really isn't an issue you haven't seen, but when there's something medically new to you, how do you get into it?
There are a number of things that are out there as resources. Obviously, the internet is a great resource. As long as you know the actual medical terminology for something, you can Google it. And you would be surprised at the amount of information that comes up that way. There are a few services out there that will give you access to professional, peer-reviewed medical journal articles, some of them for a small fee, but not an outlandish fee, where you can actually read these articles, kind of get up to speed into what the thinking is. There's another service that some people subscribe to. It's called UpToDate. This is one of the things that physicians use very regularly when they, too, are dealing with something that they haven't seen previously. It's a service that will give them a short primer on any particular medical topic that's out there. And if you can combine Wikipedia and UpToDate, you're going to have at least a good working understanding of what the medical issues are.